Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know I'm here to do. I'm here to join me as always, Xavier Guerrero, and without a camera on the ones and twos, Jay Nice, Juicy Johnny Woodard, live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Adjacent Studios. That's right. Go to SamTripoli.gold. Use the promo code Tinfoil, and you can get in on the Wolf Pack. That's right. For as little as $50 a month, you can have precious metals sent to your house every month. Guys, bang, bang, pow, Skank Fest this weekend. I'm actually driving out as we speak. I'm going to be there Thursday. Got shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday, jiu-jitsu, everything. I'm in it to win it. And then Louisville, Kentucky is tickets are moving, dude. Let's pack it out. And I think I got another date coming up in November, Tampa Bay, all that stuff. And the final thing, real quick, that's right, October 15th, Quiet will be live. Enjoy it on SamTripoli.com, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, X. Some YouTube will be censored, but if you want to watch on YouTube, you can watch it there. We have our guest is the one and only, making his 16th appearance, Isaac Weishaupt. Let's get into it. All right, so listen, this guy's been on like 16 times now. I think that almost makes him an official co-host at this point on the show enough. One of the wonderful faces on Mount Crushmore, back again, as always, one of our favorite people to talk to, the one and only Isaac Weishaupt. How are you, buddy?
Hey, so happy to be back here. This is my favorite appearance that I make, so I'm thrilled you guys are still want to talk to me about my crazy ideas. So,
well, your stuff
I'm ready to get into it.
Your stuff is so good and so deep, and I'm glad that people come and support you and what you're doing. Now, we saw. No, Johnny, I'm not uploading anything. I'll turn everything off. We saw that you did some live events. How did that go?
Oh, that was cool. You know, I think, man, this year's been crazy. So me and Jay Dyer and Jamie Hanshaw and Jim Bob, we did a lecture event down in Las Vegas. And I remember maybe a year or 2 years ago, Sam, I was talking to you and the fellas about this, and you're like, yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I've done, work presentations before. So this was, I was like, it's not that bad. How hard can it be? I talk all the time on the podcast. I've done presentations at work. Not a big deal. But man, I was shaking in my little boots the whole night before. Me and the wifey got down there, and I was panicking. I was like, dude, because I'd memorized this. It was I did it full like TED Talk style. Like I memorized a 1 hour presentation about Eyes Wide Shut. And I don't know, man. I was so nervous. But then when we did it, it was so rewarding to talk to see and talk to some of the listeners face to face. And I thought, because look, I'm not bashful about stuff. Like financially, was it worth my time? I don't know. It was a lot of effort I put into making this presentation and memorizing it and then driving down there and getting a hotel and all that. And the whole time I was just like, why am I doing this? I don't think I should do this. And I had anxiety about it. But then when I did it, when I saw the people face to face, it changed everything. And I said, oh my God, I get it. I want to do this a bunch. So now I'm like, unfortunately I have too many commitments this year, and I was going to try to squeeze one in the fall in Salt Lake City here. Maybe I'll do it next summer. I don't know. I'm going to try to do it again in Salt Lake, a little closer, to sort of cut one element of drama out of the whole event. But I loved it. It was great, man. Thanks.
And the key is to streamline it, and because they're really just there to see you, and you really work at such a high level. You'll figure out how to streamline it, and then so you can start making some money. Also, like a big part of like when I go on the road is selling merch. You got to get into that. That really helps cover a lot of your stuff.
I took way too much merch, Sam.
Oh, really?
I had like 2 giant suitcases of books and shirts, and I had to take about 1 3/4 suitcases back with me. I was like, oh man.
So let me ask you, did the books move?
I sold more shirts than I did books.
Yeah, people love shirts. Shirts are the last.
Shirts
people
are
love
easy.
Shirts. So yeah, I mean,
and I agree with it because like I'm like, man, I don't want another book that I got to read. Anyway, yeah. So I get it.
well, it's great. I'm glad you did. I'm looking forward to the next one. I want to come out. I want to see what Jay Dyer's doing. I'd like to go out and see him. I'd like to see your live show. I need to start doing that a little bit more. So I'm glad that worked
That'd
out.
be dope if we could team up. Yeah, Jay's a machine, man. He's
He
funny.
is a machine, dude.
He was funnier in person than because I've talked to him for years, podcasting. He's a funny dude. But yeah, he helped me out a lot with this one. He kind of held my hand through it. So now I kind of got the gist of how to do it. And I just got to find the time to do another one.
You'll do it, dude. It's great. So this is an interesting time, 2024. We're so close to the election. We're a month out. Chaos. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it would be a little bit more chaotic than it is right now. But, October surprises are coming. The big story right now that just is crossing both deep conspiracy divers and normies is the P. Diddy stuff. It took a long time for them to get him. I mean, I just thought everybody'd move on. Everything just gets memory hold, and P. Diddy's still out there jet skiing and riding Vespas, and and it's just like crazy to me. And then bang, he gets arrested, and here we are. And now everybody's panicking. So I would love to, I'm glad you're on here to talk to us about. Where do you want to start?
This is a massive topic. I've done in the last 1 year, I've done at least 3 shows about Diddy. And there was one show I did on my Patreon supporters deal where I did a 3-hour breakdown from start to finish, going all the way back to Diddy's father being involved with gang activity and caught up with all the lawsuits and stuff. And the curious part about this is that Diddy obviously has 6 degrees of separation from dang near everybody on the planet, right? He's and it's interesting because, like you said, we're during the sort of heat of the election cycle, and there's a lot of people, purposely or not, I don't know. There's a lot of people trying to support their agenda or their worldview by trying to assign guilt of association with Diddy, right? So, for example, Diddy was friends with Donald Trump, and left-wing people are posting images. Oh yeah, look, they're best friends, and the implication there is that Trump's taking part of these illegal activities. And I'm like, well, and I don't even like Donald Trump, but I'm like, come on, guys, like Diddy's got photos with damn near everybody on the planet, right? Like, even my main man, Leo DiCaprio, he's my favorite actor of all time. He's in hot water because Diddy apparently said that his favorite partier is Leo DiCaprio, and I'm like, well, I bet he is a great partier. That doesn't mean he's taking part of the illegal activities, but who knows, right? That's the big question. Is in the last 4 years, everyone's decided to question the mainstream media and narratives, and a lot of people are kind of fresh red pilled into this world, and now they question everything they see. So now they wonder why does this spider web of Diddy go? And I propose that today I can kind of walk through just one facet of it. There's actually a ton more, but we can go through the indictment on which with the actual allegations of what they arrested him for. And from there's some elements I could talk about with sex tapes and Charles Manson, because this is old hat for a lot of these conspiracy topics. There's this billionaire named Ron Burkle tied in with Epstein and Clinton, and he's connected to Ashton Kutcher, which we could talk about.
Oh yeah, dude.
And then Kim Porter, right? Kim Porter was
his baby mama.
Yeah, one of Diddy's BMs, and this is her book. Supposedly, this is her memoir book that is red hot on Amazon. I bought it. When it's self-published, this could have been any moron that wrote this book, and that's what everyone online is saying. They're saying this isn't a real memoir, and when you read it, if I was to guess, I'd say no, this is some jerk trying to make money off of this.
So wait up. I heard that
So
she
crazy.
died right before she was gonna release this book, and she died from at the age of 45 of like what was it?
Heart
Pneumonia.
attack.
Pneumonia. Is that so? That book isn't hers. That what you're buying is not.
So yeah, so this book, it's called Kim's Lost Words. Supposedly, it's memoirs from her diary that she had written before she died in 2018, and the timing of it is ultra suspect, right? It only comes out now, right after Diddy is in the news for getting arrested, and when you read it, you can tell it's, it's got some like I'm only on like I don't know, page 8 or something, making notes, and like like for instance, I'll tell you, I'll read to you right from the book here. This chapter 2, page 5, right off the bat in her supposed diary, she's talking about Diddy hanging out with Clive Davis, and then she talks about how Diddy wanted to experiment by her. I'll keep this PG. Her inserting toys into him, and how when she pulled the toy out, there was bodily fluids on it. And I'm just like, this is not how a woman writes. Like, this is crazyville. So I don't believe it, but I thought, you know what? Just before this thing gets banned, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to read through it, and I'm going to do a show on my podcast feed about what's in this book. Because, but look, ultimately, I don't think I believe it. I think, but conspiracies are fun. So
is it patreon.com? What is it?
Patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher.
Okay. Can I just say really quickly, what you said there is so important. Conspiracies are fun. Sometimes it's cool just to take a little dive in, dip your toe in, and with the knowledge that, hey, maybe this isn't true. But I think people take this shit so seriously now, especially the people you mentioned that just kind of came on board. God, I mean, once you get to the bottom, I mean, we've pretty much heard, until there are new things that come along, there's not much that's gonna shock us here. So it's important, man, once you get to that point, especially to remember that. Hey.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing that it forced me. I've had a sort of an existential crisis over the last few years about this whole thing, because when I started it started out with a blog, illuminatiwatcher.com, back in 2011, and I was just writing about these things, and then I started writing books. And ironically, in 2014, I wrote my second book, Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic. You can buy it on Amazon, Audible, and all that. And you can look, it's from 2014. And in that book, I talked about Diddy and Quincy Jones and Tupac and Big, and the roots of the record industry being tied into Seagram's family, or the Seagram's brand, which was funded by the Bronfmans.
Yeah.
4 years before anyone talked about the Bronfman family in Nexium,
bro,
right?
That's deep.
Because Nexium was part of this too, right? And I don't say that in a sense of like, I always try to be modest, which is probably worse. I should just brag about it, but I don't,
dude.
I don't say it because I'm like, oh, I'm this prophet, come listen to me. I say it because I'm just clued into the conspiracy world because I think it's entertaining and fun. So I just found all these conspiracies and consolidated and presented them. And it's just fascinating to me that this book was like years ahead of its time in a way, because some of these subjects are currently now in the news cycles,
So one day I was at the mothership. I've only been there once, so I don't know about one day. The one time I was at the mothership in Austin. Hopefully I'll be there next month. And I was with Joe, and we went backstage to Andrew Schultz's, was doing the big room, and we were having conversations, and I instantly understand why both Rogan and Andrew Schultz have such big followings. They're very charismatic people, and you just want to listen to them talk. And he, Andrew Schultz turns to me, he goes, "I got a question for you, conspiracy guy." I go, "What's up?" And he's always been very nice to me, Schultz. Like when my YouTube got taken down, he like called people at YouTube for me. I'm very blessed for that. So he asked me, why are they coming after Obama right now? And I don't think he was happy with my answer, which was demoralization campaign. That's why I really do believe it's like, you just had everyone believing in BLM, Black Lives Matter. And then all of a sudden, like, all your heroes are gay. And in the black community, that means something. That's still something. Like, most people don't care. I hate to say it, in the black community, it is still a big deal. Okay. So he didn't. So my question to you is, why do you think this? Before, as we go deep dive into it and hear all your awesome research, but why do you think it's coming out right now?
You know, that's $1 million question. I'd be lying if I had a direct answer for you. Because I actually was talking to my wife about this morning, and I said, you know, it just doesn't make sense, because if you look at the lawsuits placed against Diddy going back to Lil Rod was kind of the big one that took off. He was a producer that worked on the Love album, and he names a ton of names. His was the most condemning. He names a ton of names. He says, I got video and photo proof of all these things I'm claiming, from paying off people to cover up a shooting to people being involved. He names a ton of names like Lucian Grange. Lucian Grange is the most powerful man in the music industry, right? He's the guy who is running Universal Music Group, which Universal owns like every major artist. You know, Taylor Swift, Drake, Post Malone, everyone. You name it, they're on Universal, right? So, and Bad Boy, of course, is an imprint under Universal. And I just think, man, you know, I believe that Lil Rod's accusations were that Diddy was running an Epstein-like operation, blackmail, sex trafficking, all kinds of stuff. And he had obviously tons of celebrities and big names and powerful people that he was plugged into. So surely he must have blackmail footage of a lot of powerful figures. And on top of that, Kanye West claimed that Diddy was a Fed, right? Which a lot of people claim Epstein was plugged into intelligence agencies and things like this as well. And I think, man, if Diddy's a Fed and he's got all this blackmail of all these powerful people, why would they let this happen? Why arrest the guy? And the only thing I can think of is that the people around him were making too much noise. Cassie was the one that started this, right? And
I got away from him. Just like Epstein, I think it just got away from him. Like, it was just too much. Like, you're already in the scene. Hey, what are we gonna do? It's too much.
Yeah, like they were able to keep it quiet as long as it was quiet enough. But then Cassie come out, and then that started this whole. I mean, even just today or yesterday, there was a new lawsuit against Diddy of someone else claiming that she got drugged and assaulted. And I think it's just that it like XG said, it just got away from him. I don't think that this was. I don't think this was anything planned, but what do I know? And what I was reading on one of these like seedy tabloid websites. I think it was Mediaite or Media Takeout or something. There's claims that Diddy has got a 1-year plea deal offer that if he names big names, they'll let him off with just 1 year of prison time. And then there's also claims that he's not even eating in prison, and people say the reason he's not eating in prison is because he's worried about being poisoned, because that's like one of these seedy secret agent techniques.
Thought it was because his mouth was occupied.
He must, I mean, are you really punishing a gay guy, sending him to prison?
I can't answer that.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our favorite people on the planet, our friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Let me tell you about Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. If you're paying attention, you know that de-dollarization is real. Fiat is fake, and you don't want to be left holding the bag when the dollar collapses. Gold and silver have been money through all of recorded history and are an excellent way to protect yourself from inflation and geopolitical turmoil. That's why I trust my friends at Wise Wolf Gold and Silver for all precious metals, all things precious metals. I love it. I am part of the Wolf Pack. Every month I have precious metals sent right to my house, and I love it. See, Wise Wolf Gold and Silver is veteran owned and A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. No transaction is too big or too small. You can even roll over your 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver. And if you think you can't afford precious metals, think again. With the Wolfpack monthly membership program, you can get gold and silver delivered directly to your door for as little as $50 a month. As little as $50 a month, you can have precious metals. You start loading it up, man. By the end of the year, you'll have a good chunk of precious metals. Dude, it's crazy. You just go to SamTripoli.gold. You can see all the different plans they have. Man, it's like $50. Lone Wolf, Warrior Wolf, 125. Alpha Wolf is 250. And it just keeps going up. Sent to your house. Right there. It's that simple. It's that simple. Easy peasy. Get in, get out, get your gold, get your silver. I love it. I'm doing it. Dude, I'm telling you, all of these affiliates I use, and I use Wise Wolf gold and silver. I use it all the time. It's real simple. So if you want to get in, this is how you do it. Wise Wolf gold and silver also deals in and accepts Bitcoin. So here's what I need you to do. Okay, go to SamTripoli.gold, promo code tinfoil at checkout to receive free constitutional silver. That's right. And remember, in a world of bulls and bears, be the wolf.
But yeah, it is curious. I'm curious what happens. Obviously, one major option is he goes the same way as Epstein went out, right? And there's people claiming that he's on suicide watch. Then all these media sources are claiming different things. Some say, "Oh no, he's eating. He's totally fine, and everything's great." Then others are saying, "No, he's on suicide watch. He's starving himself."
Is he really in a cell with SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried? Is that true? I saw that yesterday.
I saw that too. I don't know.
That's crazy if it's true. If he's, I read that he was in a dormitory style cell with SBF right now.
There's so. I think I saw it on Twitter. There's so much. And this goes into, I think Steve Bannon said it, something about flooding the internet with BS.
Yes,
this is legit. This is being reported by Business Insider.
And they kicked it off with the first assassination attempt. And I told everybody, I go, I've never seen anything like this. All these guys who I think were batting 1,000 suddenly were getting stuff wrong left and right and deleting tweets. And I go, that's crazy. And it gets back to them allowing the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act to lapse. And then there's literally videos of Obama giving speeches going, and what you do is you just flood the public sector with sewage. You just flood it. And you're just like, they're just telling you what they're doing right there, dude. And like, it was crazy. By the first assassination attempt, there were already 3 people named. You're like, what are we talking about here? They don't want you to know if you're coming or going.
Yeah, Rolling Stone has that too. So that's something of a sitcom. SBF.
Yeah, that is bizarre. That's very bizarre. Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't Sam Bankman-Fried? He's plugged into a lot of these big name donors.
Yes,
I don't remember who. I didn't study him in depth, but like, maybe from like the Democratic Party or something.
Absolutely.
His Hobbit girlfriend only got 2 years, dude. 2 years. That's all she got. She must have flipped on some stuff, but she only got 2 years, dude. She did what they did is worse than Madoff. Like in terms of money.
Yeah, definitely.
Way worse than Madoff.
And it hurt people who could afford it less than Madoff for the most part, you know.
It's so crazy to me, man. It's just crazy. So here's my theory, right? And there are some holes in this theory, so I'll be honest with you. I think they went after Diddy the day after Trump's second assassination to kill any momentum of that. The only problem I have with that is that kind of goes back to, Kamala Harris and all the DNC stuff, and everybody who's right now is yelling about Trump being a Nazi is kind of like involved in this. But what I think is interesting, what makes Diddy different than Epstein, in my humble opinion, is that I think if there's ever a chance for somebody actually be taken down for participating, it will be the Diddy people over the Epstein people. Yeah. The Epstein people were politicians. They hold office. They control purse strings. They pass laws that help the elites. You don't want to get rid of those people. You just don't want those people to be compromised by word getting out that they participated in a giant pedophile ring. But, entertainers, you can find a million J-Los, no matter how much you want to convince you.
I was about to ask you, by Diddy family, you mean Jay-Z, Beyonce, Usher, Justin Bieber. All of them are done. They're all pretty much, everybody is.
Because this also fits into the narrative of once you become useless to them, meaning you're not really producing anything except they owe you a lot of money. They like to get rid of you, right? So you got P. Diddy. There's a bunch of people like Michael Jackson. They try to do that with. It's like Michael Jack. They owe money, all this to Michael Jackson. Let's hit him with pedophilia accusations. Let's off him, right? Prince, same thing. There's even discussions that there's some of this is like Louis C.K. Like he was trying to go off the reservation, do stuff for himself when he's making everybody a ton of money. But the P. Diddy crew is definitely aging out. And
well, you talked about the second attempt, the timing of that, right? I actually did a show about that Ryan Routh guy because I bought his book. I didn't read the whole thing. It's a pretty long book. He was a big he was like in Ukraine trying to recruit for the war. There's a lot of weird stuff with this dude. And if you read through paging through the book, there's a lot of photos of like war crimes and what like the Middle East or something. And dude's got, and this is self-published on Amazon, of course, but dude's got photos of, and I'm not exaggerating, of a baby with its head cut off. And I had to see that. I was thumbing through and I seen like a bunch of bloody bodies and stuff. And I was like, ugh, that's kind of nasty. And then I see this baby. I was like, bro, what is this? Like, how is this allowed on Amazon?
And what was he talking about? Like, this is the brutality of the war?
Yeah. And he says a lot of wild stuff about how, he was talking about assassinations in this book, even because he wanted to take out Putin. In the book, he talks about justifying dropping nukes and all kinds of crazy stuff. But what's interesting is that you recall, like, to take this into the world of synchromysticism and occult symbolism, which is kind of my thing that I'm into. Recall how, and you guys already know this, but like on the cover of Time magazine on September 11th, which was 1 or 2 days before this second attempt, they showed an image of Donald Trump in a golf cart stuck in a sand trap, right? And it says "in trouble," right?
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is when I was digging into that, I was looking at how, like, who owned Time magazine, because I thought, okay, like some people, a lot of people, conspiracy people, they say, oh, this is Twilight language, this is predictive programming, this is the mainstream media and the handlers showing us what they're going to do before it happens, right? Well, I looked up Time magazine, and the owner of Time is a company called Salesforce, which is a software company, and the CEO of Salesforce is a guy named Mark Benioff. And fun fact, his cousin is David Benioff, who is the guy who wrote the Game of Thrones TV show, right?
Huh. Oh shit.
Yeah. But anyway, Mark Benioff is actually I'm trying to keep all these names correct. He's actually funded a lot of stuff with Diddy. He was a close business associate. That, like, for instance, they started this company. It was like a black business place where black people could buy from black market stuff called Shop Circulate, and it was inspired by the Black Wall Street, the history of Black Wall Street. And he also invested $100 million into Diddy's Sean John fashion line.
What?
Yeah. So this Mark Benioff guy is that's what I'm trying to make sense of it. I need one of those white marker boards with all the the red string, because the Diddy case is just so many strange connections, like Ron Burkle. So he's plugged into billionaires and celebrities, whereas Epstein seemed like he was more into billionaires and politicians. Diddy is more kind of celebrities and billionaires.
The one thing I'd say about time, someone brought this up a long time ago, time is connected to Kronos, the god of time, and that is connected to Black Cube and Saturn worship. So it's like super interesting that all that comes together, and then that is on the cover, and then all of a sudden, bang, it starts to happen. And even these, I don't know where you fall on the Trump assassination. My thing is, and I've always said this, that these high impact events, if they're real, they have multiple layers. and that the target doesn't get out of there. If they really want it done, it's multiple layers, not just one dude, in a bush, a bunch of power bottoms who can't shoot, which is totally like Star Wars, right? Like these guys are just all stormtroopers who just work for the Empire and they can't shoot straight, so they never hit their target, right? I mean, it's just crazy to me.
What up? You talking about Secret Service or the actual guy trying to assassinate? Because I think Secret Service still should have shot that guy. I don't know how you didn't.
Yeah, and that's another
yeah,
thing.
it makes no sense. He escaped. The guy saw him, shot at him, and then he managed to somehow get in his car and get on the freeway. That makes no sense.
No.
At all. That old guy. You tell me that old guy was hauling ass away from a.
You don't get out of there, dude. The assailant doesn't get out of there, and the target doesn't get out of there. It is like some straight up John Wick shit. When John Wick enters the plaza,
it's a movie. Yeah, it's fake. That's what you mean, right? Yeah.
Well, it's that when John Wick enters the plaza and all the phones go off, all the assassins, everybody in the plaza is an assassin.
Is what it should be if it's a real assassination.
Yes. And by the way, why are all the assassins in John Wick have flip phones? Like, what is that about? None of them have iPhones. These
burners. It's burners.
Yeah, I just bought a burner. I got it right here on my desk. I got to set it up.
I set up burners all the time, and I just never use them.
Just don't get a pager.
Why do you set up burners?
I don't know, man, because Johnny, I want off these phones so badly.
Hey, man, do it.
I get bored.
Well, they're changing the way that I'm not gonna like self-incriminate, but some of the online from the business side of the house of things I got to do online, they're now requiring you to put information in that they want to like verify identities and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, I'm not putting my personal information on some of this stuff. But the internet that used to be this anonymous Pirateville, and now it's just slowly slipping into surveillance state.
2014, maybe the beginning of 2015 were the end of the internet as we believe it is, or it was, right? Which was like Wild West, crazy. You could find links to everything. Those days are done.
Yeah, the fact that going back to the first assassination attempt, that Crooks guy, that he apparently had, I haven't kept up on the case. You know how the news cycle goes with this kind of stuff. You read about it for about 3 days, you're binging everything, and then so I don't know what's updated since then, but I did a show about it because there was some occult symbolism of his name being Crooks, which is what the Osiris is buried with. He's holding crooks, and there's a lot of like symbolism there with X and Osiris being resurrected from the dead. And he was the only online presence they seem to find of this young incel looking dude is a Discord where he was talking about this game on the Steam platform called Mr. President, and it's all about trying to shoot a president, right? And it's by game developer X, which I connected into this idea of the X symbolism of Osiris rising, the death and resurrection ritual, which is kind of what you could argue Trump was going through or demonstrating, because you asked where you think I stand on it, and I don't even know, because I could go to either side of the argument of whether this was real, whether this was fake. To me, there's some really absurd things that happened, like Trump got shot in the ear and it healed within 10 days, like totally healed. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's insane to me. And then the photo ops, the way the dude had like these perfectly staged photo, I don't know. But I could also see that, like, surely there's people that want this kind of thing to happen. And I don't know. I try to unplug from the political angle as much as I can, especially these last couple months before the election, because it does just steal the loosh and gets us all kind of distracted about things. But with that particular thing, boy, that was some weird events happening. So this and real the last thing on the Trump. Now Kamala Harris is like, one of my election offices got shot at. So now she's trying to get in on the, like, everyone's trying to assassinate me grift. Like, it's so crazy to me because they just keep seeing him getting bumps. So she's just like, I want bumps. So she's like, they're shooting at me too. Everyone's getting bumps here. It's just kind of crazy. But if we go back to the original reason we brought up the Trump things, is like the P. Diddy scandal just killed that story.
And it's just crazy to me because you're just watching two parties perfectly manipulate the timelines. Now, I don't necessarily think they're two separate parties. I think they're two wings of the same rotten bird. So if you study Kamala Harris has the DNC convention. She's kind of getting a tiny bump from that. Everyone's liking that. And as soon as that's done, RFK Jr. is like, I'm hanging with Trump now. Kills that momentum, right? Now that's all everybody's talking about. Then you have the second assassination attempt. Everyone's like, they're just going after our guy. Why? Right? And then bang, all of a sudden P. Diddy gets arrested. And now that's the entire narrative.
Yeah, the scriptwriters have been doing a great job this year.
Yeah, they're really on fire, bro. They're really on fire, and or they're just really getting sloppy, and people like us see it way too much. But I think there's a part of that. This is the P. Diddy. This is the purpose of P. Diddy, and I don't know if people are going to be outed because I really don't think they care about celebrities. I think they're disposable to them. And that's why they will have celebrities that have kind of like been blessed with opportunities because they've done certain things to be initiated into that level of club that they have no problem with burning them by making them say stupid shit like Jennifer Lawrence, right? Like there was nobody hotter at the time than Jennifer Lawrence before she started getting Trump derangement syndrome. And she was all part of that Weinstein group. There's a lot of talk that when all the celebrities nudes came out there, it was called something. I forget what the name. The fappening. There's a lot of talk that the fappening wasn't a hacking. It was really Harvey Weinstein lost his phone. And those were all the videos on the phone that just got released to everybody. And, they own her. And she just starts saying stupid shit like, if you like Trump, don't go watch my movies. Well, guess what happened? Nobody went and watched her movies. And she hasn't had a hit since. Right? So we're like, it's like, so they have no problems with burning these brands of celebrity because they know they could just step somebody in, a replacement real quick that takes up the banner and he marches forward. So I think I do think the possibilities of somebody getting outed. I mean, the way they tried to destroy Michael Jackson with pedophilia, why wouldn't they do it to any of these other celebrities who are way past their prime? Like J-Lo will not stop trying to be 30. Like every role she does, like, okay, that's not really your role, grandma. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, you got a fat ass for a grandma. We love it. You're probably the hottest grandma out there, but chill on these things. And it's just, I think something's coming.
Look, Michael Jackson, his name comes up a lot in my research, and because I am sort of half truther, half normie, sometimes I fall for the presentation and the big show. Like, for instance, when that Finding Neverland documentary came out with the two dudes who claimed that Michael made them like spread eagle their beeholes or whatever, it was really convincing. And I was like, oh, for sure Michael did this kind of stuff. And honestly, when I sit back and look at it, I think, okay, I don't have a child, but if I had a young boy and one of my neighbors came over and was like, hey, neighbor, I got a choo-choo train in my backyard and I want your boy to come sleep over in my bed with me tonight. Is that cool? I'd be like, this dude's a pedo. I'm calling the cops. What are you talking about? And because that's what Michael was doing. But I talked to a guy, and look, and I've thrown a lot of shots at Michael Jackson posthumously, and I talked to and a lot of people, and look, I realize I'm a Caucasian guy, but a lot of people in the black community, like, they get real upset about this, right? Kind of like what Sam was saying earlier. They get upset when I talk about Michael Jackson. And I talked to a friend of mine who's black about this whole thing. And he kind of laid it out for me in a way that I started questioning. And I thought, man, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe they really did set Michael up. And like, he didn't really do this, because the reality of Michael's story is that he was abused as a child. Some people say he was chemically castrated. His father allegedly was very abusive. And I've seen enough proof. When I wrote Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic, I talked about Michael a lot, and I read enough about him that I was like, oh, this guy was abused. I mean, his own brother said, yeah, I remember when we were kids and our dad would bring over these people in suits and ties, and they would take Michael out for hours, and Michael would come back and he would be a different person altogether. You'd just be like zoned out, like messed up, traumatized, right? And then that book, that I think Jermaine Jackson said that, and Jermaine wrote about it in a book that never got released. And knowing all the things we know about how these people operate, I think, man, I wonder if that wasn't true. Which then tells me Michael was traumatized, and maybe he really was just trying to have a childhood and like didn't know the difference. And so my point being is like, I think I might have got that wrong. And now I kind of think, man, maybe Michael didn't do it. Maybe he really did get screwed with, because a lot of the people involved with Diddy, their names show up in my research, right? And if I could, I'd like to take maybe 10, 15 minutes to walk through this guy, Ron Burkle, and Ashton Kutcher.
Let's go, bro.
Okay. Because it kind of connects some dots that. And look, I'm gonna tell everyone right now, you could take some of this research, because I've got just hours and hours of research and notes all over the place, and I guarantee you can dig much deeper on this. It's just a time factor for me. I'm like, dude, I can't just turn into a Diddy expert and talk about that only for a year, right? So this guy named Ron Burkle, he's a billionaire, and it's one of Diddy's longest relationships in the world of business, right? 'Cause obviously Diddy's a very powerful businessman. And I read an article from New York Post back in April where they were talking about how Diddy had this habit of trying to impress different billionaires with different business ideas that he had. Okay. And this sounds a lot like Epstein, right? There's a lot of parallels to Epstein, because Epstein was the same way. He had all these sort of wild ideas. He would float by rich, connected people, politicians, and so on. And Ron Burkle, he was connected. He was with a bunch of politicians as well. President Bush, George W. Bush, appointed him a co-chair of some committee. He was part of the World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders Group, which we all know that ties into the Great Reset stuff and things like that. And he also, interestingly enough, owned some interesting properties. He owned a place called the Ennis House, which was featured on my beloved Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks had a little kind of inner show called Invitation to Love, and that was filmed in the Ennis House. Now, that's interesting because the Ennis House was built like a Mayan temple of possibly child sacrifice, right? Because that's what they did back then. Okay, that's fine. But the interesting thing about Burkle was he was also friends with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, and flew on Epstein's plane. But he allegedly, if you go to his Wikipedia, apparently he spoke out about Epstein, was like, that guy was a creep, and I wouldn't fly with him again, and like kind of disavowed himself from that. However, Burkle also has a private jet, and he calls it, I don't know, do you guys swear on the show?
You can say anything you want, bro.
Okay. I'll spell it out. It's called the Air, instead of Air Force One, it's the Air FUCK1. All right. Which sounds a lot like Epstein, right? Like with this Lolita Express stuff. And Ron Burkle was friends with Michael Jackson. He ended up buying Neverland Ranch.
Whoa.
He bought it after Michael Jackson died. Okay. So look, there's just a lot of smoke there, a lot of red flags there. I don't know the guy. I didn't come across anything that I was like, oh my God, this guy's like totally messing with kids or anything like that. But there's a lot of connections there. Okay. Which takes me into a connection he has with Ashton Kutcher, because I think Ashton Kutcher is one of these guys that's going to be, I think there's a few celebrities that we got to be looking for in the future of getting in trouble. It's going to be Jay-Z and Ashton Kutcher. I think these are the two big ticket items that maybe something happens, maybe nothing. I don't know.
The only thing about Ashton Kutcher is that he's so deep into Uber. Like, sometimes I wonder if he might be protected through that because he is like on the board and all that stuff. That's the only thing. Like Jay-Z, I really do believe his days are numbered. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our friends at Fume. Fume, the innovative, award-winning flavored air device. Let me tell you about Fume. You know it. Listen, have you heard that flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by our sponsor, Fume. Dude, we love Fume. Look at that website. It's so pretty. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. I like that. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint or orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor, no combustion. Thank you, dude. Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products, okay? Fume is backed by doctors in the U.S., all right? We love orange vanilla all day, every day, okay? Orange vanilla all day, every day, dude.
That one right there, right?
Well, look at that, bro.
Oh.
That is a party in my mouth and everybody's coming. You know it, okay? Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use tinfoil to get a free gift with your journey pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfume.com and use the code tinfoil or scan the QR code on screen, okay, to get a free gift with your order today, okay? Bang, bang, pow, guys. I love Fume. You love Fume. Giant loves Fume. Look at all their 5-star reviews. Fume is the award-winning flavored air device, and we thank them for sponsoring this show. And there's been a lot of talk that Beyonce is like trying to distance herself from him. There's real talk that Ben Affleck left J-Lo because of this stuff's coming out.
Yeah, I've heard this because, J-Lo, of course, was with Diddy the night that Shine shot that dude and did a 10-year sentence, and then Shine left the country afterwards, got deported. But yeah, the whole, like I said, there's so much stuff involved here with all these celebrities. It really starts to sort of like compound on itself if you get into it.
Yeah, and listen, man, the image of Ashton Kutcher versus like the things he's associated with is kind of crazy. So I want to follow I want you to continue on that thought, but he's not the guy that a lot of people think he is.
I agree with that. I believe in that. Kutcher was he co-founded this venture capitalist group with Ron Burkle called A-Grade Investments back in 2010. They successfully invest in a lot of big businesses. Uber, right, is one of them. Spotify, SoundCloud, Airbnb, a lot of these big names. So obviously Ashton Kutcher makes a ton of money, as does Ron Burkle. And I got some notes here about what Gawker said. I'm going to read, let's see. Because I want to keep this all like on the up and up. This is what a website, I think, talking about Gawker. It says, in 2015, Gawker published flight logs from Epstein's jet, which showed that Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, and such powerful players as Bill Clinton and investor Ron Burkle took one flight to Africa. A source close to Burkle says he was invited by Clinton, assumed the ride was vetted, and flew home on a commercial jet after finding Epstein to be quote-unquote creepy. All right? So, like, that's the defense of Ron Burkle, is apparently he wasn't down for whatever was going on there. But apparently he was okay with it enough not to, I don't know, tell the authorities. Don't ask me. But anyway, so Ron Burkle, Ashton Kutcher, they're doing their venture capital thing. Is sort of, it changes names and becomes Sound Ventures. And Sound Ventures continues investing in various big companies like Skype and Duolingo. And they also started this company called Thorn. And this is where it gets interesting. Thorn, which was originally called the DNA Foundation. Kutcher starts this company with Demi Moore, and the goal supposedly is to address sexual exploitation of children and trafficking and videos of kids and all that stuff. And they claim that they're doing it by working with the major online presences of Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Twitter. Of course, Twitter is different now, but to create this database of images of children. All right. And he was going around and he was getting all this funding. And when he was pitching it, apparently, allegedly, he was saying he was using this study that claimed 100 to 300,000 children a year are trafficked in America. However, that study has a lot of flaws behind it. And there's this other outfit called the Crimes Against the Children Research Center, and they tell people, look, quit citing that statistic. It's actually completely made up. So much so, even the authors of the study disavowed it. They said, yeah, we kind of made up all the numbers. We have no way of knowing.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And Tim Ballard, who, you remember the Sound of Freedom movie that was going around?
Yeah.
And Tim Ballard, Operation Underground Railroad. And I used to be a donor. I donated tons of money to Operation Underground Railroad years ago. Well, again, another major rabbit hole. Allegedly, he's involved with all kinds of crazy stuff and was sort of using these same figures and hyperinflating how much his outfit was doing to save kids. And what I'm trying to get at here is that I think it's pretty sus that these people use such a horrific thing to try to solicit profits and money and things like that. But take from that what you will. So
and if you're a shady ass dude, let's say, and this is a gross thing, and you're into that stuff, and now you create a company that works with all these different platforms, be like, yeah, we're gonna gather up all the images. Yeah, we're gonna gather them all up and do a database.
yeah.
You're like, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's
maybe you're
convenient for
right.
you now, huh? Everybody sends you
yeah,
all the stuff.
yeah, you got a good point there.
It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, if you got, and I don't have any, nothing in my research suggested that Ashton Kutcher or Tim Ballard were into that kind of angle, but
No, but that company though, if you're starting the company and the whole thing was create a database of child exploitation videos and pictures, and your job is to collect all of them, that's really convenient if that's something you're into.
yeah, or if you're trying to sell it or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
turn it
That's
around.
a good
Yeah.
point. Well, so this surveillance child trafficking outfit that he starts called Thorn, and look, this is very complicated. I'm oversimplifying this, but apparently they had connections of some kind with the CIA, and this included getting law enforcement agencies surveillance tools. And Whitney Webb did a great write-up and research into this back in September of 2020, because back then Amazon was using this facial recognition software called Recognition that was being used at BLM protests to look for suspects. And apparently it was a big failure. Like they were claiming that certain people in Congress were criminals and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, that's probably it was actually successful. That they didn't like that.
Yeah, just not for the crimes they were claiming.
Right? There was one, and this is Sam speaking, not Isaac. There was one that they were doing facial recognition, and it came back that Michelle Obama was a man. So
Big Mike.
Big Mike. So like they're like, yeah, we gotta tweak it.
So what, but the connection here is that Thorn was, so Ashton Kutcher was also invested in the same company of Recognition, and he was buddies with Jeff Bezos, and he was trying to get Jeff Bezos's and Kutcher's kind of company together to funnel this facial recognition thing, which in America, not a popular thing. In other countries, they already do this kind of stuff. There's surveillance everywhere. We might have it, we might not. I don't know. It's not as accepted for sure here, though, right? Anyhow, this is where things will get interesting, because Ashton Kutcher, he got his start as a model. If you remember, he was a model for Abercrombie and Fitch, which was a brand started by Les Wexner, and Les Wexner was BFFs with Epstein and Charles Bronfman.
Damn.
Right? And the Bronfman family, again, the Bronfman family was the ones who owned Seagram's and Seagram's ends up basically more or less buying out Universal Music Group, which has gone on to become the biggest, most powerful music label there is, right? But yeah, so Ashton Kutcher, I think he's one of these major figures to look out for.
Wait,
because-
okay. So
Yeah.
one more thing on Ashton Kutcher. You think he any of this is connected to that murder he was kind of part in? Remember, he saw blood and he's like, "Oh, I left. I thought it was wine." And then he literally said, "That's why my fingerprints are there, even though she got stabbed 42 times and you were late to a dinner."
Yeah. So Chrissy, do you remember Chrissy Bixler? I believe is her name. She oh man, I'm going to screw this up. So she has been trying to expose the Church of Somethingtology and some of the people involved in it, and she claims that she was don't quote me on this, she saw or heard a phone call between Ashton Kutcher and I think Danny Masterson the night that murder happened, and she was basically on social media saying, I'm going to spill the beans on this thing that I know. And I don't know whatever became of it. I didn't see anything beyond that. But supposedly she was saying that back, a while ago that Ashton Kutcher's a bad dude. How bad? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
it could
he was
be
walking around. Isn't there a picture of him walking around with a Freemason hat on?
right. I don't know. Is there?
Yeah, I saw
Could be.
somebody put that out. He had a Freemason hat on. And again, I think Freemasonry is a lot like most of your religions or philosophies or ideology, where it's like a lot of these people at the bottom or the middle are just like living their lives, and it's just that collection at the top that is like super duper shady and has alternative motives to what they're telling everybody else. It's way more way more weaponized. Right? Just like that's such a weird hat to just walk around in. Yeah. Right?
Well, I know he's into Kabbalah.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. That's it. That Jewish magic out there, dog. That's just fucking crazy. But it's like this is what happens though. It's like when you are so dialed in, you can get away with certain things, and there's a whole apparatus set up to clean it up for you. You can't get away with a murder if you're that high up and that powerful, because you're more more important to the elites than having you go to jail, right? So it's like they clean it up for you. I mean, like, listen, dude, if you look at the LA sheriff's badge, it's got the pedo symbol all over the place, just like all the way through it. And the Kamala Harris, she's part of some secret society of cops. It's all there, dude. And so when we study all these suicides that happen, there's certain ways that a person is found dead that people say is a signal to the cops, do not investigate.
And that's what makes me think of Diddy not eating in prison and being worried about being poisoned, because I'll be honest, I never thought of that. Like, if I went to prison, I would eat the food, I would think. I would say maybe like not wanting to eat the food and be like, I'm not eating this crap. I'm used to steak and lobster. But the poison angle is interesting, because I was like, oh, I never even thought of that. That is interesting, because he's got a lot of secrets up in his head. And when we talk about Ashton Kutcher, he had dated Brittany Murphy, and Brittany Murphy, she died. Remember, she died at, I think she was 32. She died from pneumonia, and then within months, her husband Simon also died from pneumonia. And these are young, relatively healthy people. I mean, you could argue that a lot of people say, yeah, but they were all taking just tons and tons of prescriptions, and maybe I could see that as an angle. But
I know, and then they play the whole, there was mold in the house.
Yeah, the mold. Yeah, right. And that house. What's interesting is that house was also owned by Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, and they left because it was haunted. Britney said she heard spirits in there all the time. Oh, so I mean, you could go that angle with it. But what some of the other connections here is that, you got Ashton Kutcher dating Brittany Murphy. She dies young from pneumonia, which is also what Kim Porter died from, young, fit from pneumonia. And Brittany Murphy, at the time, her personal trainer was Harley Pasternak, who was a big name going around because Kanye West was saying how Harley Pasternak was his handler. Remember this?
Yes.
Yeah, and because Kanye released that text message of Harley telling him, "Hey, if you don't shut up, I'm going to send you to what did he say? You're going to go to a place where you never see your kids again." And I'm like, "Damn, that's cold, bro."
Yeah, yeah. And isn't there other like clients to this guy that had like really, really like awful things happen to them? It wasn't just Brittany Murphy. It was like a couple other people too.
Well, I don't know off the top of my head. I do know that there was lots of at the time when his name was being floated around. I did some research, and I remember there was some sort of connections to, I think, Canadian intelligence with this guy.
Yes.
I some of the stuff, like, it gets too scary even a little bit, where I'm like, man, I don't want to go this deep into this because anyway, what I'm getting at is I think that Kim Porter dying from pneumonia, Brittany Murphy dying from pneumonia, Diddy being scared to eat from poisoning. I want to say that these might be some kind of related idea.
Oh, like he knows
things work.
He knows that food was maybe given to them, and that's how pneumonia got to them. So he's like, "Yo, I'm not trying to get pneumonia." Parentheses.
Exactly. Yes. Because these, like, your sort of intelligence agencies and DARPAs and stuff, like, they're way ahead on what we, the public, the normie masses, know about how things operate and how things are done. Which makes me, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. We were talking about the Trump assassination attempts. Like, if they wanted to take him out, I mean, they could probably do it without such a complicated, convoluted plan. I don't know. I don't know.
It's very interesting, dude. I'm reading this book right now about Mossad and their role in the JFK assassination. And one thing they had brought up was that there's a belief by the author that there's enough evidence out there to the possibility that Mossad tried to take out George Bush Sr. because he wanted to normalize relations with the Arab nations and was upset that he couldn't get Israel to listen. So suddenly he goes to Japan. His whole schedule's given out to everybody, which never happens when you're with a president of foreign. And that's when he eats the dish, and it has the choking and all that stuff that happens.
That's right.
That's fascinating. And I mean, his son tried to have a similar foreign policy, of no nation building. And I mean, he got 9/11 for his trouble. So yeah, they don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah. See, there's some major movements going on behind the scenes that I don't know about. I don't know if I even want to know about, because to me, like, some of that stuff, like, that's where the dark heart of all this is. And I prefer to keep it pop culture. Call me naive and stupid. I'd rather be watching Real Housewives and talking pop culture and drinking Kendrick Lamar beefs.
I can't wait till Ink Master comes out so I can just turn my brain off and enjoy.
Well, some of the entertaining part. Do you remember in 2018 when that one guy went and shot up Donald Trump's estate or something, and then he said, "I'm a sex slave for Cassie and Diddy," and then we didn't believe him. We're like, this guy's crazy. You go down. Do you know anything about that guy?
I just know what I saw. Ian Carroll, the Cancel This Clothing guy. I seen, which, man, I can't get that guy. I need to get his email or something. That guy will not write me back. I've been begging him for 2 years, like, come do my show, but now he's too popular. He's popping now. But yeah, I seen his video about that. It was pretty fascinating because I also found a similar sort of Candy Michelle Johnson, right? She was this woman who wrote the Adrenochrome Witch book back in 2020. Everyone was talking about. I had tons of people reach out to me in 2020. They're like, "Hey, this woman wrote a book that said, like, Diddy's got some kind of adrenochrome thing," and I read through the couple pages that were online, and I thought, man, this seems wackadoodle. No, I'm not reading this. So I kind of dismissed it, and there was my normie brain taking over. And then about November, December 2023, when all this stuff started coming out from these lawsuits from Lil Rod and Cassie, I was doing a show about it, and I was like, I remember this Adrenochrome Witch book nonsense. So I revisited it, and I dug deep into this Candy Michelle Johnson, and I mean, I'll be damned if there's a lot of smoke there she claims. And look, when you and I beg the listeners to go do your own research on Candy Michelle Johnson, you'll find she's got all these scripts and books, and a lot of it seems crazy and it's out there. For instance, you go to her, I think it's payhip.com/Malibu Nights Publishing is her list of screenplays and books that she wrote. And you can buy a book that's called Lenny Kravitz Makes Me Wet for $200,000. Okay, that's what we're dealing with. and that's why I dismissed it back in 2020. I was like, this is nuts. but when I dug through her screenplays and things to try to be more serious about it, one of them, you click it and there's a photo of Cassie fully nude, spread eagle. You could see everything. And that's what, like, if you go to that website, it's not safe for work, obviously. But I thought, well, that's kind of a weird photo for her to have. But then I actually wondered if it came from that fappening Celebgate. I haven't looked into that. I need to look into that. But I wondered if that was from that. Because if it's not from that, where the hell did she get that photo? Unless she really did work for Diddy, because that's what she claims. She claims she worked for Diddy back in the, 2010s. And she also claims she worked for Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen and John Legend. Remember Chrissy Teigen was in trouble with all those tweets?
Yeah.
Talking
all
about
those
little
tweets
kids.
and then talking crazy. They're like, it was the weirdest interview. They're like, what's the craziest party you've ever been to? And she's like, oh, you remember those Obama parties? And he's like, we can't talk about that.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, man. And so, I to answer, XG, I don't know. I haven't dug deep into that. I think his name is Christopher Offit or something. The guy that Ian Carroll made that video about.
Is he the one that put out the video the other day that was supposed to be Diddy having sex that turned out to be like from porn? Because did you see that? You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
No.
Yeah, it went
It was
viral.
just the audio, right?
Yeah, it was just audio, right? Yeah, sorry.
I've seen that. Later. Yeah, months ago that came out. It was supposedly audio.
But it was the
Diddy
guy. Is that the same guy? Because he was like, there was a video of him saying, "You guys didn't believe me before, but now you believe me." And then
Ian Carroll was the dude you guys had on. You guys scored him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen that video.
I just don't know if that's the same guy.
And then Johnny did research and found the exact video that the audio of the gay porn was from. So thank you, Johnny.
I did deep research on that.
Deep research.
It was a community note, to be fair.
By the way, it's hilarious because somebody went searching. Somebody went.
No,
I can match this up. I can match this up.
That's not what happened at all, Sam. Somebody heard that and they were like, "Wait a minute, that's this video right here," because they know it so well and they visit it every day.
It's one of their favorites on Pornhub.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if anybody likes to go deep research or investigate, Meek Mill is giving anybody $100,000 to who can find out why he's linked to P. Diddy or whatever. He wrote that on X. I was like, dude, there's videos.
I know
of
a
you.
picture. Give me my $100,000, dude. It's you and him dressed in the exact same outfit with a midget.
He's not giving anybody shit.
There's that video clip of Meek Mill in the pool and Diddy's like, "You're doing it, daddy. You're doing it." Like, bro, come on. What are we talking about?
It's just the question gets to why is this the way they operate? Why is it that why is everything got to be phony and fake? Why I'm sure there's people that naturally, like I was on Adam Carolla the other day, we were talking, and it's like Adam Carolla, by all accounts, seems to be a pretty natural ride. Like you hang out, you know why he is where he is. He's fast, he's smart, But why in these certain positions is everything manipulated? Like, why is hip hop music, going back to Laurel Canyon, why is it this need to like kind of place their own people into these positions?
I do believe this goes back to the occult, because I think that this is I've said this a million times before, but I feel like this is our modern day pagan gods and goddesses, because back in the day in Rome, the citizens, you kind of cherry picked which gods and goddesses you wanted to follow and listen to, and guide your life and all this stuff. And I don't see how that's any different than what's going on today. I think a lot of people are disillusioned and they follow these celebrities to the to the grave, man. I mean, they'll defend some of these guys. If you go to Diddy's Instagram and read some of the comments, it's like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we love you, Diddy. I'm like, you don't even know Diddy, and with all these allegations, like surely he did something wrong somewhere. Like I just
Where
don't know
there's
how you
smoke,
defend
there's
someone you
fire.
don't know. Yeah. And I get it because to me, and when I don't, I feel like I've said this on your show before, but anyway, a good example, right? When Prince died, I remember we went to Wendover. It's a border town, a casino border town between Utah and Nevada. We were going to Wendover the next day, and I remember crying. I was listening to Prince. I was crying, and I'm not a massive Prince fan. I like his popular radio stuff, but if you listen to his whole album, I'm like, you can throw away most of it for me. Like some of it just goes on and on, but it doesn't really matter. I don't obviously don't know Prince. For whatever reason, I had a connection with Prince that made me sad for his loss. And I think it's because, it's not about Prince the person. It's about how Prince's music made me feel and the nostalgia and growing up and the memories and all the things I associated with it. So in a lot of ways, these celebrities and musicians, they hold a lot of power over us. And there's good and bad that comes with that, right? I'm always one of these guys that tries to somewhat defend Hollywood and musicians on some level, because I'm like, well, these artists are imperfect, but you need artists, man. Like I'm not gonna and I'm a Christian, but like I'm not gonna read the Bible for fun. Like I want to watch a movie. I want to watch the Deadpool movie or whatever, right? And I think that the handlers, the people who run our society, know the power these celebrities have over our lives, because they're just very powerful, is what I'm trying to say. And powerful enough that, like, I don't know Prince and I'm crying over the loss of Prince. What the hell's that about, right? So I think that Diddy is the bottom of the umbrella. No pun intended there. He's the bottom of the umbrella. And there's people above him, right? Who's above him? And above him is Universal Music Group and the CEO, Lucian Grange, who's named, and look, I'm not coming up with that. That's what Lil Rod claimed in the document, that he's seen Lucian Grange, because Lil Rod's claiming RICO and racketeering about Diddy and saying, look, Diddy rolled with a whole enterprise of people who were making money off of these connections that Diddy was making by trafficking in all these and abusing all these people. And he names Lucian Grange, which I think, man, if this thing really gets run to ground, there's a lot of people gonna be going to prison and getting canceled and all kinds of stuff. And when you look at it and you say, okay, well, Universal Music Group, who owns practically every musician that's popping right now, and Lucian Grange, okay, what's their deal? Who started UMG? It's Seagram's, and who started Seagram's? The Bronfmans from the Nexium. They were running a sex operation, And there's all these parallels. Claire Bronfman, she also bought an island that they were doing all these crazy parties on. And who else bought an island? Diddy. He bought a thing called Love Island. And who else bought an island? Oh, a guy named Epstein. I mean, like, they almost run out of the same exact playbook. It's amazing how this operates. But I don't. If you ask me what I think is going to happen in the future, I don't think anyone else. I think Diddy's going to end up probably going the same route as Epstein, unfortunately.
It's interesting to me because, to me, the assassination of JFK, the end of World War II, the assassination of JFK is a pivot in this country. We see what I call the George Bush death cult kind of start to, dig its roots into America, into our culture. They crip walk over these Nazis who are like, oh my God, we're hiding. And you're like, well, you're not even changing your name. You're keeping your name. I mean, how much hiding can you never go into the witness protection program and keep your name. You get a new name. So they keep all their names, and we start to see the CIA. It goes from the OSS to the CIA. George Bush's fingers are all over that. And then this is where Laurel Canyon starts to come in, and we start seeing these military brats come in, and what are the military brats doing? They're pushing loose love, progressive values, all that stuff, which is giving kids who want to rebel against their parents kind of this data and this ammo to push back against the right oppression. And for the longest time, the right was the oppressors of free speech and all this stuff, and the left was like pushing back. And now it's kind of flipped the other way. So, Johnny and I talked about on another show, you had, the lead singer Paramore coming out, and she's like reading, like she's trying, it looks like she's doing this rant into the camera, and then somebody films her. She's reading off a piece of paper. None of it's authentic. And you go, to me, that's what this is about. At these moments in which they must shape culture, control the narrative, this is when they call somebody got in her ear and go, you got to give this speech. They want you to give this speech about how shitty Trump is and 2025 Project 2025. And I don't think Trump, I think Trump is Godzilla. That's my humble opinion. He wrecked shop back in the day. He might be our only hope. Who knows, right? So, but they need this to cause chaos, dude. So what you have are these entertainers coming out, and being like, Kamala Harris is like the voice of joy, even though she's part of the George Bush death cult that has been in power 40 of the last 44 years. It's crazy to me. And this is what they do when they need the narrative push, when they need to position people in certain places to control a movement. This is what they do. This is what they're for. And when you sell your soul, which I don't think you can actually sell your soul, but you show them you're willing to do whatever they ask for money and power, because you've basically been jumped into a gang for whatever reason in whatever way, right? Dude, you basically become a paper cup to them. Yeah. They could use you to fill you with water to drink from, or they can just throw you right in the trash. It doesn't even matter. That's why I think there's going to be a little bit more to this, because I just think all of these entertainers are just replaceable, especially the ones that are aging out.
Okay, you said that. Replaceable entertainers. Same thing goes for the king, LeBron James. You think he always likes to fucking put it 2 cents, but yet he won't talk about this Diddy shit.
Well, I've said this before. When I said this a long time ago, when Dwayne Wade's career comes to an end, he's in deep trouble. And then what happens? All of a sudden, his kid is trans, right? And he's speaking about trans rights, and he's pushing trans this and trans that. And now look at him. He's doing play-by-play on basketball. He's got his own game show. It's like, it all depends. Kobe didn't play ball. Kobe was into all of this Salima shit. You see the numbers. We had the guy who came on that was talking about, Kobe and the connections to the Wizard of Oz. Now the Wizard of Oz is there's a giant curse that comes with the Wizard of Oz. And the last picture Kobe Bryant took with his family was on Halloween, they were all the Wizard of Oz. And Kobe was going to sue the pharmaceutical companies. And I just think he wasn't the biggest shark in the Shark Tank. So it all depends on how LeBron James plays ball after. I mean, look at Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's still going, even though his movies don't do well. Now he's got this new show with his buddy who's like, I'm going to dress like a woman now. And it's like this show about being inspirational. It's like, what do you guys like? There's nothing brave about anything that comes with a Netflix docuseries. I'm sorry about that. It's like, I'm sorry. So that's just Sam speaking, nobody else speaking. But it's like super interesting. Like, you have to keep playing ball in order to push the narrative. And that's why, like, they talked about Harvey Weinstein. Like, he was no longer producing movies that were selling, but yet they owed him money on royalties left and right.
This is my take on it, right? I have been registered to vote. I'm politically unaffiliated. That's my registration card, unaffiliated. My beliefs and ideas, which, by the way, I did because a lot of people are confused by me. Like, I guess I'm kind of enigma, because I have very progressive social ideas. I would say I'm more of a like a 90s liberal, I guess, because the new like Democratic
school
Party is like
liberal.
kind of wacky. Yeah, old school liberal. I'm more of like a free speech equality kind of guy, like let everyone kind of make their adult decisions. And anyway, I did a 3-hour show. It's called Who is Isaac Weishaupt? And I talk about my entire upbringing, my interests, my worldviews, and everything for people who get kind of confused. But the where I'm going with that is, so I'm politically unaffiliated. However, I have a million reasons why I dislike Donald Trump, and I don't think he's the savior. I think he is just as connected as anyone else. And I get a lot of grief for that. And I've done many shows talk where I mention it, and from a subscription business perspective, I lose a lot of people when I start saying stuff like that. Right. So and that's why I keep the dreaded day job, because I want to be able to say my truth and not have these, you know, because if it comes down to like, man, I got to make this car payment this month, I better not say anything that's going to make me lose some subscribers. Like that's not a good position for me to be in, right? So I personally firsthand see what happens when you sort of say something against or for a political candidate, right? And when I see, and look, I love Hulk Hogan. I grew up obsessed with Hulk Hogan and WWF. He gave a speech at the RNC. And when I see him do that, I feel like when I see him do that, like he views himself as an entertainer. I'm sure there's some like conservative values he holds. I'm sure of it, right? But when I think people like him or Russell Brand, even I watched this. There's a video on YouTube from Media Matters, which is of course a very left-wing outfit funded by George Soros and all that, right? I'm not blind to that, but I consume content from both sides of the spectrum. Media Matters did a video about Russell Brand, and they go through his history, right? And they basically say, look, this guy started out as like hardcore lefty, talk about abolishing capitalism and like all kinds of crazy left-wing stuff, right? Which I'm very capitalist, right? So I have both conservative and liberal views within me, like they both exist. But he started out very ultra left-wing, like let's abolish capitalism left-wing. Then he went into sort of a self-help guru kind of angle. Yeah. But when they look at his YouTube views, they're like, things weren't really popping for him until 2020. And then he did a show about the stabby and boom, 1 million views. And then he goes back to his sort of self-help thing. Then he does a show about the pandemic and the Great Reset. Boom, boom, millions of views, right? So now he's become this sort of conservative conspiracy guy, right? And the whole Media Matters video is portraying him as this villain and all this. And when I think the same thing. I think when Hulk Hogan is doing a speech at the RNC, I think Russell Brand's an entertainer. He's an actor, just like Hulk Hogan. Like, I don't know that these guys are losing sleep over it. I think because there's truth to some of the things he's saying. I don't disagree with some of the things he's saying. So I think he's just an entertainer and he knows what he's doing and he's trying to make money, right? Some people say that's grifting. And like, I mean, there's some truth to that too. But then I think about Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift comes out and endorses one candidate. And it's the same thing. I think she's probably an entertainer. And if I'm Taylor Swift and I'm selling tons of records and things, I'm thinking, man, if I come out and endorse one candidate, everyone from the other side is going to be pissed off at me. Why would I want to lose half my fan base? But she must be getting compensated. She must be getting compensated.
It's a constant battle. It's a constant battle. I battle all the time, but my whole thing is like, I just want to be as authentic as I can with the audience. And I want to give everybody a chance to be heard on the show, like from the super religious to the atheists. They're all welcome on the show. And I think it's important. And we do know that maybe this isn't going to be, like the thing about having a podcast or being an entertainer, you are a business person as well. And I don't mean the sense that the dollar is the bottom line, but you have customers. Your listeners are customers. And there's a golden rule in business that I think Hollywood has completely either purposefully ignored it or forgot about. And that is the customer is always right. Like our purpose here is to give the best show we can to our listeners because we know they can listen to anybody. Yeah. So I try to keep that in mind while at the same time going, I think you guys got to hear this. I think it's important that you get. This is a data piece that you might want to use in this puzzle when you're trying to figure out how the world works. So it's a very hard thing. And when you know, it's not easy, dude. It is not easy when when it's like a lot of people are pro-Trump and you're like, there's this going on here, man. You got, you're very open-minded to a lot of data. You got to take a look at this data and be like, it doesn't mean you don't got to like Trump, but you got to kind of brace yourself for if this doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. Because very rarely does it go. And like, again, I've said this from the start about Trump. I think he's a crime boss. I think he represents a different crime organization that is trying to get the purse strings from the George Bush death cult that has been in power for the last 44 years, 40 of the last 44 years. And he just represents a different group. And that group plays ball with the same people that the death cult plays ball with, whether there's Jesuits, Zionists, Freemasons, Kabbalists, whoever it is, right? That they play ball, but they're definitely, it's about purse strings. It's about control, who sits in the seat and doles out the contracts and plays ball. But when you go back to the Taylor Swift stuff, the reason she's like so dangerous to me, and I know I'm 51-year-old white guy saying this, is because there's nothing really authentic about her growth. Now, that doesn't mean that she's not talented, but I knew that music was incredibly competitive when I was really young in LA, and there used to be a bar called the Crooked Bar, and they would have open mics there. It was the first time I ever had my name on a marquee in Los Angeles. And one night I go down there, and it's music open mic. And I'm not lying to you, dude. Every person that went up there was the greatest singer I'd ever seen live. I was blown away. I go, oh my God, these guys are so good. Never heard from one of them ever.
It's not, the singing thing is not, we learned that from American Idol, right? It's just not as rare a skill as we thought it was.
So the grandson of Larry Fink, who is who runs BlackRock. That's his name, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
Larry Fink. He's a conspiracy theorist. And, Ian Carroll said he owns it. He says it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he says in his videos, he goes, he's my grandpa, which, we can get into what that represents, but let's give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Okay. For a moment. And he did a deep dive on Taylor Swift and her dad. And her dad was like deep into the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008, deep into it, working with Goldman Sachs, working at Merrill Lynch, which took over which got bought by Bank of America, which Ian Carroll's done giant deep dives on, which goes all the way back to, I hate to tell everybody, the black nobility. Bank of America, everyone looks at Chase Bank. That's what they do. They get you to look at Chase Bank, who is supposedly the big bad monster, when in reality, Bank of America owns the biggest shares of BlackRock. And Bank of America, Taylor Swift's dad, hand in hand. And they bought out the record label. He moved his whole organization to Nashville for her. None of it is natural.
You tell me she didn't grow up on a Christmas tree farm?
Yeah, none of this is natural. It's all a giant lie. But the reason it's dangerous is because all the conspiracy theorists were like, stop showing us during the football game. This is bread and roses. We don't want to see her. Stop showing it to her. We don't care she's there. And then people like Colin Cowherd, we talked about some broken sim, but Colin Cowherd's gaslighting his crowd, telling them that they're all knuckle draggers, right? Because he's on ABC and they're owned by Disney. He's on Fox Sports that's owned by Disney now. And he has to dance that dance. And then everything the conspiracy theorists said was that she was going to be there all the time. They're going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to show her making out with Travis Kelce. And then she's going to come out and endorse whoever the Democrat candidate is. And step by step by step, every fucking moment of that. So you were showing us a political talking head. It wasn't just a girl in love with her tight end boyfriend. It was a political fucking talking head getting prime time. And that's the problem. And that's the manipulation that goes. Like, why is Taylor Swift it goes back to P. Diddy again. They position these people, and when they get the call, they gotta do the call. They gotta do it. They know that's why they're there. And that's the whole thing. And that's the same thing with P. Diddy. Now the question becomes, like when I saw that, I told Johnny this a long time ago. Like, why did Justin Bieber sell his rights to his music for so cheap? It was $200 million. You're like, you're Bieber, dude. Like, you were the biggest. It was like you and Britney Spears at one point were the sons of culture around the world. You couldn't go anywhere in the world. Like, Bieber was so abused, and we mocked him forever. We mocked him. We're like, oh, dude, why are you pissing in a bucket? Why are you doing all this shit? Well, because adults around him were just ripping through him, dude. I mean, dude, he got some fucking full-grown adult pregnant. Got this full-grown adult woman pregnant. We think men are the predators. Dude, we see how Janie McCarthy's trying to make out with him at the award show and all this shit. There's a picture of Ed Furlong, the kid who was in Terminator. He was 14 years old. He was dating a 29-year-old, and nobody said anything. And look how fucked up he became. And I say that with love and respect coming from a drug addict, dude. It's just crazy to me. So, and then this gets into deeper and deeper stuff where I get shit on Instagram for mocking Hollywood for saying something as retarded as 5-year-olds should be able to get sex changes. XG clips the thing, puts it out. Everyone loses their mind screaming at me. And I go, look at what happens to these kids when they get put in adult situations too early. It's not good, man. And everyone pushing this progressive bullshit about non-genders in school and cultural Marxism, and we should love these kids and let them be trans and all that shit. I'm sorry, dude. All of you are going to therapy right now, okay? You're on psych meds to deal with childhood trauma. And now you're okay with childhood trauma to be inflicted on younger children. My whole thing is let the kids grow. Let them be 18. If they turn 18, they want to get a sex change. They want to be on hormone therapy. Light yourself up like a Christmas tree. I don't care. But let the kids grow. Let them find the dude. If you understood the dark roots of sex education, have you ever looked into it, Isaac?
No. Tell me more.
Alfred. How do you say his last name, Johnny?
Alfred Kinsey. Yeah, he was hanging out with Crowley back in the day.
Alfred Kinsey, dude. It is so dark what that guy did.
I'd like to learn more about it. I know Kinsey was hanging out with Aleister Crowley, I think, at the Abbey of Thelema. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, not Crowley. Kenneth Anger and him were hanging out and went to the Crowley's Abbey of Thelema or something once. I don't know. And that's where like my progressive views of sex would probably clash with the occult and stuff because I don't know much about him besides that.
Oh, dude, Alfred Kinsey is like, there's a couple people I would fight if I had a time machine. I go back and just fucking fuck them up. First one is Mayor Rothschild, who kicks off the Rothschild dynasty, which is a total Paul Bunyan fucking story made up. They just placed him in there like all these other billionaires. The second one would be who's the president brought us the Federal Reserve starts with double Woodrow Wilson. I would fuck that dude up, put his fucking mouth on a curb, and American history X him, okay? And then the next one would be Alfred Kinsey. I would fuck him. I would show up and just wreck shop on that guy for what he did to those kids. It's called Table 38, the children of Table 38. You should look it up, dude. It's so dark. And the fact that this guy has institutions named after him is just a sign of like of the chaos of the inverted world we live in. So this is what happened.
You know what? I know it must be juicy because I just Googled Table 38 Kinsey and it's showing me products from Walmart and stuff. So it's juicy if Google won't show it to you.
The children of Table 36 or something like it's one of those 30 somethings.
Okay.
And it just breaks it down how dark that thing got.
34.
And that's 34, table 34. Okay. So that's what this is all about, man.
Yeah, and that's where when we get into like to sort of put a bow on the whole Diddy thing, because a lot of people are like, because the main question you think is like, Diddy is a famous, celebrity rapper dude. Like he could get laid by anybody he wants, male or female. Why bother with all this weird assaulting and drugging and like it's crazy. Like you think, why do you need to do any of that? And it goes into a different place, and I don't really understand it, but there's a certain dark energy that must come with this that they feed off of on some level. And when you get into the topic of the occult and you read about sex magic, you find that there's a certain energy attached to sex. And they say that Theodore Roos, the founder of the OTO, said sex magic is the foundation of all Western esotericism. We're talking about alchemy and all these things. And they say that sex magic is the gateway to deeper unconscious processes. And that's one of the things that I always come back to in my research when we say, man, why do people do all this dark stuff? And it's because there's some kind of what they call the mauve zone in the occult. Is this, they believe they can access a certain dark region, and from this dark region they can unlock abilities, unlock creative endeavors and things like this. Like it's kind of a long, deep subject that I talked about in the Dark Path. If anyone wants to go deeper into that, I talked about how these ideas of sex magic sort of unlock different processes, I guess is the best way of describing it. And that would be, if you force me to give an answer as to why does Diddy need to do this dark, evil stuff? He certainly doesn't need to. If he's looking for sexual gratification, like he could just get that. And it's not about that. It's about some kind of other thing.
Well, what's interesting about Diddy is the same thing that is about Bill Clinton. And I guarantee you, if somebody could go deep enough into Jeffrey Epstein, they'll find the same thing. A sexual assault case that happened very early with Clinton. It was at Oxford. He was accused of sexual assault. Nothing happened with it. And it's the same thing with P. Diddy. He was very early on accused of sexual assault on a woman, and right after that, he mysteriously leaves whatever record label he's at and started his new record label, and it just blew up. So we get into, why are all these rappers gay? Like, why are all these huge rappers gay? What is that about? And I get back into what I told Andrew Schultz, which is demoralization. Like, these guys' heroes are all, gay. And it like that affects a community. It's like, dude, it really affects them, especially after they were just told Black Lives Matter. And now all of a sudden, all your heroes. And you're like, this is part of the psyop done to the black community to control them in a low vibrational status. I'm sorry, like, this is Sam speaking. It's like you push out this gangster rap shit. We like Isaac, I'm much older than everybody else here, but I was at the genesis. I enjoyed the genesis of modern rap hip hop. Like, I was into it. I grew up on Motown. So I love that stuff. So my dad would never listen to Led Zeppelin or the Beatles. We were listening to Motown all the time. And then rap came out, and I just loved it. I took the break dancing, and I was watching rap, and it was all empowering shit. And then just one day it just flips into crime rhymes. And everything was gang banging, shooting, drugging, treating women like shit, and a devastating effect to the black community. No. What they've convinced themselves is they were just talking about what was happening on the streets, but in reality, it was affecting what was happening on the streets. You can listen to old rappers talk about one day the clubs just went from people dancing and fist fighting to people getting shot. And then you have Ice Cube coming out and going, "Hey man, the CIA ran it." Like, bro, I mean, are you indicting yourself at that point? The dude who I literally said Ice Cube is the Larry the Cable Guy of rap, playing a character. And it's the truth. And it's all about low vibrational. And I know, here we go back to Diddy. That's what I think the Kardashians' job was. To get women in a space where they're taking actions that don't benefit them, which is dating unavailable men. Like the Kardashians can bang rappers left and right and have kids because they have enough money to clean it up. What are you doing? Who are you? A 17 and pregnant on MTV? Like just giving you the playbook for the worst decision you can make in your life. And we talk about this all the time. All these articles like OnlyFans models buying 47 houses. Yeah, 3 of them. The rest of you guys are making $100 a month, and now everybody in your town knows you have pepperoni nipples. I mean, it's just you know this. It's a spiritual war.
Yeah, that low vibrational frequency, I do believe that's part of it. There was a study I cited in Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic about. They studied the man, this was like in the 60s or 70s. They come to the conclusion that black families, African American families, were put sort of behind the curve because of slavery. Well, obviously, right? I mean, come on. But they actually studied this, and they said, look, some of the major problems that they face are because of more or less the destruction of the family unit, which I actually do subscribe to that. It's kind of a conservative idea, but I do think that if you want to, I feel like if you want to have like the healthiest upbringing, it would be ideal to have a loving, and that's what you put it in quotes, a loving, not a couple where mom and dad are beating each other up every night, right? So like sometimes divorce is the best answer, but I think the most ideal and optimal is to have the nuclear family structure intact, and that's what Bill Cooper taught me. My red pill daddy taught me years ago was about this idea that like, look, if there's a Marxist communist agenda out there, they want the government to be your daddy. They don't want you to have a family structure to rely upon and look for help. They want you to be, they want you to give up your rights, to be controlled, right? And you can dismantle that in a bunch of different ways, but I do think that there's something to that of you. It'd be nicer if some of the music and the Hollywood industries, if they would sort of promote more positive ideas. And I'm guilty of that too. I still listen to gangster rap.
No, dude, NWA bangs, bro. It bangs, dude.
I mean, I listen to modern day raps too to this day. I love rap music and hip hop. But it's true, man. Like if I listen to it too much, I feel myself sort of, I don't know, man. The energy it's kind of brings me down sometimes.
Well, that's why it's not selling. It's literally bottoming out right now because they just got to the point where it just became Satanist.
Yeah,
and people are moving on, and now you got shit like rock and roll's back and country music's back.
Yeah, because country music is like the only one with love songs. They're the only ones pushing, and I don't like country music, but like I started listening to country music this year because I'm like, man, sometimes it makes me feel good listening to love songs.
Old school country is outlaw country is the best. But if you go back real quick to the family unit. If you study like BLM, and those women who ran BLM made no illusions of their goals, and their goal was to destroy the nuclear family. And that's what got Marcus Wiley kicked off of ESPN, because he goes, when I read that and I see that that's when your goal, and I know what the drug game has done to the black family unit, things go crazy. That's a red flag for me. And he was gone very soon after that. And it's done on purpose. If kids don't have family members watching out for them, it struggles. They really struggle. And that's why you're constantly like, I got to watch what my kids watch on YouTube, because YouTube Kids isn't exactly kid friendly as it should be.
Yeah, I don't have kids, but I couldn't imagine how difficult it. I always give shit to parents, but like I'm joking. But it must be so difficult to raise a child nowadays with the internet, right? It's just like, man, there's so much bad shit out there.
You have to keep them busy.
One
The beauty
of my
kids is that they won't They don't need the internet, but if there's nothing going on, they want to be on their pads. So you got to keep them moving.
Dude, the more I think about, I'm thinking about like, the more I think about this, I'm like, why is porn free? Why is it free?
Yeah.
Why can't you just go on Pornhub and just watch whatever you want, unlimited hours? You can't watch Netflix. They charge you for Netflix. Even YouTube's got ad reads, but yet Pornhub don't give a fuck. It's all free.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
And then why is everything on the side just trying to make you go deeper and deeper into some weirder and weirder stuff?
Yeah.
And real quick, like, yeah, the OnlyFans stuff, I mean, that's a giant lie too. I mean, like regardless of what you think of adult film stars, I known a lot of them, and most of them were doing the best with what they had. Most of them came from extreme trauma, okay, and poverty. And that's why they did that. It was like, I'm going to take a shot to change my life financially. Now, because of OnlyFans, your secretary has an OnlyFans account. But they don't understand the magic that comes with that. Like and I mean black magic, dark energy that comes with being a pornographic actor or actress. It's low vibrational. And it's going to really ruin opportunities down the line. And now you see like YouTube, it's like insane YouTube, Instagram. If you're a chick who talks filthy nasty, the algorithm loves you. I mean, I can't tell you how many female comics I hear doing jokes that a straight white guy would just get banished to the dark realms if they told it. Just banished. Not even beeping shit. Just straight up talking about it. And the Instagram algorithm pushes it, dude. And now you got these podcasts with just like OnlyFans models saying the most insane shit to each other, which is fine if that's what they want to do. But I guarantee you in 5 years, you're going to see them doing videos like, I just wish my videos were off the internet. I wish they were just gone. Yeah.
New logic is if it doesn't count if it's part of their work for their body count.
Yeah, I mean, that's just them telling themselves. It's crazy. Isaac, anything else? This is a great episode.
Yeah, if for the listeners, if they want to check out my podcast, it's called Occult Symbolism and Pop Culture on Everything. I've got a show I'm going to do about this Kim Porter book, so you don't have to waste your money on it. I'm going to go through the whole book and tell you what the juicy bits are. I don't know when I'll do that in the next couple of weeks. And I've got the 3-hour Who is Isaac Weishaupt. You can listen to me talk to you about growing up in Allentown, PA, watching WWF and crying when my dad died and all kinds of fun stuff. You know, it's a whole journey for 3 hours. And then also I've got a 3-hour deep dive on Diddy on my Patreon, patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher. I did that back in like April or May or something like that, but you can check that out. I'm kind of all over the place. So thanks for having me back on the show. You guys are the best. Appreciate it.
Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer blames Costco for the 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
What is that? What they sent too many?
That's
like,
what New York Post said.
He ordered 10 and they sent 1,000 or whatever. Is that?
Yeah. So Isaac, I know you're leaving. Any thoughts on InfoWars having to sell everything?
I saw that. I'm gonna see how much the bidding is for some of that stuff. I mean, I don't know. That's another half-hour conversation. I support free speech, so I don't know. Does it have its limits? Maybe. I don't know. It's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Do you guys know about, like, is he, because he can never get out from under that number. He'll never, I mean, he's an indentured servant for the rest of his life, right? Is that how that works? Do you know?
Can't you claim bankruptcy?
Yeah.
But I think
that's why
Here's
the
the
company
problem.
is auctioning off the stuff, because he claimed bankruptcy and was like, look, I can't pay this. So he had to give everything up under that, I guess, LLC or whatever. And now they're going to auction off to sort of salvage whatever they can get out of it.
They're never shutting him up, though. That ain't really going to put him in. That's not going to do much.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, so do you know if once he's through bankruptcy, once that's all done, if he can start again, or will he still owe the balance of what's left? Because I mean, that's just, I would love to know that. Because
but the problem is like, okay, you have this thing, where it's like, okay, misinformation. Well, what about all the news agencies that lied about weapons of mass destruction, lied about Russian collusion, lied about this, lied about that,
lied about taking the stabby? I mean, they told, yeah,
this is so
it's wild.
Yeah.
I think on some level, I get why they went after him. On the other, I think that was a massive fine. What the hell are they talking about? I mean, people do way worse stuff on the, like you said, on the mainstream news. I don't know. It's a bizarre
And the
story.
fact
This
that-
says he'll still owe after bankruptcy, by the way. It says bankruptcy will not erase his debts. Future earnings may also be targeted to ensure payments continue. So he's just become an indentured servant for life now. He just owes forever, no matter what he does.
my question is this: it's like, where's his? Everyone said this would be thrown out in appeals court. Like, has he appealed it? And by the way, real quick, you want to think about some crazy shit? His lawyer sent them evidence.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not thrown out right there? How's that not a mistrial?
I mean, I think that, I mean, those things take, famously quite a long time. So sure
Crazy times. All right.
Cosby
Isaac,
got out. Cosby got out on a mistrial, so
That's
We'll
true.
see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
They had a fork in him. He was done, and bam, back out.
It's crazy. All right, guys, let's break down this episode. All right, let's get into it. Isaac Weishaupt's 16th appearance. Nothing but bangers, going deep. Thoughts, guys? What do you think?
I never want to wear white ever again. Never wearing white ever again.
What? Well, oh, dude, you don't want to go to freak parties, buddy?
No, I'm done.
But it's just crazy to me. It's like, if you study like how many of these people are associated with these kind of intelligence rings, and they all coordinate with who hates Trump. It's just weird to me. Like, I get that we have like two wings of the same bird, but it is weird how all the Epstein people and all the P. Diddy people all come out against Trump. And it's
I
just
think it's
like,
a lot to do with them being in power, right? In the government.
so hold on, but you think let's say Trump goes into power, you think they'd all be sticking up for him? Or
I
they
just don't.
with the
I just
George
think
Bush
like,
death
he
cult?
hasn't been in. He was only in there 4 years, and I feel like this is the kind of thing. It's institutional. You know what I mean? It's systemic. This has been a thing for decades. Now, and if he had a dynasty like the Bushes or the Clintons, I think you would see these kinds of machinations being accredited to him. Yeah, sure, but maybe they take a different tone. But yeah, sure, maybe.
It's
You know-
just
you get what
weird
I'm
to me,
saying?
universally, like going off on Trump, and you're like, oh, and your name just happens to be on the Jeffrey Epstein flight log. Your name just happens to be at a P. Diddy freak party.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
It's just crazy to me.
And
Like-
I'm
like-
not saying he's better or worse. He's probably better than they are, but I don't trust anybody that wants to be president. I gotta be honest.
I don't, dude, I don't either. And especially with this ramp up the war going on right now. And like, again, I always say this. There is like what they're doing right now is they're like, we have troops over there already, almost in a manifestation of telling you there's nothing you do to stop this. So just let us do it. And you're like, but that's not how that's not how it goes. So this is an illegal war. But it is, you remember they did that with the Ukraine. They're like, yeah, we got troops on the ground over there already. And nobody fell for it. And they just kind of like,
It's also, I mean, watch for one of these attacks, like the Cole or Black Hawk Down. If they want us to have a war, they'll put people over there. And then what do you know? There's an attack, something happens, and then we're at war, even if we didn't agree to it. So it's dangerous. Anytime we send American troops somewhere, it's look out.
I mean, it's so crazy because it's like all the internet does is tell conspiracy theorists they're crazy, and everything comes out as we were 100% right. We were talking about Jeffrey Epstein. We were talking about P. Diddy. We're talking about they're gonna make us die for Israel, and here everything starts to happen, one right after another. And that's my opinion, dude. It's kind of crazy.
I've been showing the video of Tupac, him in his acting class. All of a sudden, all my homies are like, now that makes sense. They're like, oh, that's not CGI. I'm like, that's not CGI. That's not AI. That's him literally at an audition for something. And I think it was audition for gangster rap.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Play this character, bro. I mean, like, Andrew Dice Clay is a good friend of mine. We're very cool. Let me put it to you like that. We're very cool. And dude, that guy's playing a character. He's no longer who his real name. He is now Dice. We love him. I love gigging with him. I have none but respect for him. We're cool, but that guy is. So if Dice can play a character forever, why can't Tupac play a character forever? Why can't Ice Cube play this fucking character forever? He's Ice Cube now.
So okay, you said that, Sam. How long till you forget your SamTripoli or your who Tupac was? How long? 3 months, 4 months? You love it all. You even forget. You're like, fuck, I was an actor. Fuck, I was gay. I'm a gangster rapper now.
Yeah, I still think he's gay. He's just like hitting. He's like, it's like even when you get into like, oh, he sexually assaulted this woman. That kind of like hides the fact that he's a down low thug.
Yeah. It's like that Shannon Sharp video that came out.
Yeah, he's like, oh, dude, I can't believe I just left this on as I'm having sex with a woman. I mean, my wardrobe says power bottom, but this video of you can't see me doing it, but it sounds like I'm just bringing the wood. And it's just like, guys, I told you, dude, you wouldn't have this show if I would have answered differently at this MTV fucking interview where the guy basically asked if I'm gay. If I would have gone, yeah, gay as fuck, bro, you guys would still be broke motherfuckers.
You'd be on that. We'd be watching you on Netflix,
truth, brother.
We'd be watching you on Netflix.
Yeah, dude. It'd be totally different, bro.
So you're telling me and Johnny would be doing our own podcast, not killing it. You're on Netflix, murdering it.
I would love for if you just did a side show where just like a half an hour conspiracy podcast. And it should be something where like this is part of people who come on the show. They have to do a half an hour with you just asking all your favorite questions. Like, hey, man, like, are there homeless people in these tunnels or what? And then, dude, I would listen to that forever.
Yeah, you should do the pre-interview. That's what we should just record the pre-interview.
Yeah, we like to do a pre-interview where one of our guys just asks you questions and we record it. Is that okay with you?
And I'm supposed to like verify them, but they end up not doing the podcast because like if this is the fucking idiot you guys sent up front.
Yeah. So as always, Isaac, there's a reason why he's on Mount Crushmore, because he's one of the best. Guys, if you want to see me live, go to SamTripoli.com. Check out my events, adding dates constantly. You think I'm done? I'm never done. Okay. New hour, new jam, new truth. Dropping hammers, making you wonder, karate chopping these powerbomb lizard people. Okay. Louisville's coming up. That's right. No, real quick. Yeah, I'm going to be at Skankfest. Then it's going to be Louisville and on the 10th and the 11th. I'm so excited. Tampa Bay on the 12th. If everything goes according to plan, I will be adding Tulsa if everything goes fine. Cancun on the 12th through the 16th of December. So grab your tickets now. Go to SamTripoli.com. Check out everything. We got these affiliates, bro. Again, you're going to be able to see Sam Tripoli's, my uncensored version of my podcast on Sam Tripoli. We may give it out early for the people who really want to support me. I might be putting it out early so you can check it out. All my premium content is available on SamTripoli.com. Some of the stuff not listed there is the dangerous. We do not list it on the first. We broke down the Unabomber's manifesto. Nailed it. So for $8, you get about 3 to 4 episodes a week of deep dives into stuff. If you are looking to make a little extra money, go to the Cash Daddies Patreon, patreon.com/Cash Daddies. Just out crushing it, up to 80. What do you think, Johnny? Are we crushing it or are we crushing it?
Yeah, we're getting ready for some volatility, we think, in the economy here heading into the election, especially afterward. And it's an opportunity to make money. Yeah, that's what, that's how his whole philosophy is to capitalize on volatility. So get ready.
Go check that out. We have go check out t-shirts. I think we're still doing t-shirts. Chaos Twins. I'm going to talk to them this week. All the affiliate programs. We got Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. We got Rife Technology, dude. This guy's helping that chick who took Matt Rife, not the comedian, but the man who loves humanity. And Matt Rife, the comedian, loves humanity too. But this guy, Matt Rife of Rife Technology, is helping the young lady who took the vaccine. Her eyes just exploded and she looked like a gray alien. Do you see that?
I saw that?
He's helping her right now. If you go back, we got dude, I'm taking it every day. We have AquaCure, hydrogen brown gas, Harley Ray. We have everything there. We have candles, sage, unit crystals, you name it. Chemical free body, taking it every day, all the time. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay, taking it all the time. And then our good friends at my Joel Staley, if you want to get in shape. EMF rocks. Dirty electricity's out there. You want to stop it. You need to stop it. Okay. Go check that out. Faraday bags. Use a promo code tinfoil hat and get it. Prometheus. If you love my website, you want to have a decentralized website, you want to upload videos to your website and not cost anything, there you go. Bang, bang, pow. Prometheus. And then, of course, if you love Xavier Guerrero's really, really deep questions, you can thank our good friends at Brain Supreme. This guy is dropping microdoses all the time and just asking incredible questions. Never stopping. I'll go there. And then you got all of the telegrams, go down. And then you got all the audio. Gonna be bringing back doom scrolling, working with Midnight Mike on that. Radio all the time. Anything else, guys?
Hit that like button, subscribe, please.
Check out the new Broken Sim. It's a good one.
All right. Enjoy these highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim.
Yeah, there was a quick clip from this new Agatha show saying it is the gayest project Marvel's ever done.
Is the gayest project Marvel
That's Sashir Zameda from SNL. She just recently came out as lesbian.
has ever done.
Beautiful woman.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Why is it?
You'll see. You'll see when you watch it. But, you know, I think witches are queer inherently just because we are outcast and, like, set aside for many reasons.
Stop.
And I think...
What about being gay is outcast in society right now?
Okay. You are literally at a premiere for a major show that nobody's going to watch. It's getting panned. You're not an outcast. You're not on the outside. Okay?
So crazy, dude.
Right? It's just absolutely insanity. It's this notion like that somehow you're a second-class citizen. It's like what you remember
Madness.
when the Crazy Rich Asians cast got mad? You're like you're in a show called Crazy Rich Asians. What are you talking about?
We're on the periphery. We're fringe.
It's just rich kids, regardless of where she's from, where she's at now. Rich kids.
Look at how you're dressed. Yeah. You know.
You're in pink leather or whatever that is, with your cleavage out,
And she's sexy.
acting like you're a second-class citizen.
That's it. Speed round here. Okay, speed round. Give me 5 minutes to speed. Not even 5. I need 3 minutes. This is a tweet I saw. This is how Democrats dominate academia. Look at this. This was let's see. This is from liberal arts universities. Percentage of Democrat professors in the field. If you look at communications at the universities, they polled. I think it was like a certain size of university. Communications, 100%. Anthropology, 100%. Religion, 99.59%.
How are Democrats running religion?
Oh, dude, no. If you know, the religion departments are all none of them are like actually pro-religious. They're just teaching the history of religion is how they view it. It's not actually religion. It's more about like the history of these books and why they're all fake. English, sociology are all 97+%. Art, music, theater, obviously. The ones that are close to being split are at the bottom here. Engineering, which is still 61% Dem. Chemistry, 83. Economics, 84, which used to be much more heavily Republican or conservative. Professional. Anyway, so that's just, I mean, how can you expect anything to come out from experts?
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I
not-
don't care if my kids go to college.
I wouldn't either, as long as they get a good paying job.
As long as they figure it out.
So Trump had this quote this week, which kind of blew my mind.
I gotta go, dude.
Did you see this
guy?
If I don't win this election, Israel, in my opinion, will cease to exist within 2 years, and I believe I'm 100% right. If I do win, Israel will be safe and secured. We will stop the toxic poison of anti-Semitism.
Sounds
from
like
spreading
someone's
here.
gonna enact some crazy ass laws.
It
Like
does sound
this
like
is
it.
what I'm talking about Trump. Like, dude, we're like 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away from this election, and you're like 70 to 80% of the Jews are voting for Harris. Like I get that you're a Kabbalistic sorcerer, and those are your people. But by running your mouth about this right now, you're actually losing people's belief in you.
Yeah, your most important voters. So we talked about Chester Bennington last week. His son is out there now suggesting that he was
now this is the weirdest thing
killed.
about this video. The audio is just off enough that you're like, what is this about?
I do wonder. People were making connections saying that he mentioned Hillary Clinton befriending the band before, which is just like, what? Before his father died?
Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Jamie Bennington.
Yeah, the time
I'm
is
27 years old. I am the firstborn son of Chester Bennington. And over the last 6 years, I've gone from a firm supporter of his suicide to someone who's absolutely convinced that he did not take his own life. And that instead, he was killed by something or someone for some purpose.
Something?
And I will be investigating.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, subscribe to Broken Simulation in your podcasting app or check us out at youtube.com/SamTripoli.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hack.